Welcome back to the channel where I provide regular cricket content on interesting topics. In today's video I am giving credit to the big hitters of Test cricket history, those who have the highest 6-to-ball ratios of all time. I wanted to give these players the props for taking the risks of trying to clear the ropes in the longest format, as I believe it is the hardest to do so. In T20 cricket we are all used to people slogging sixes, but in the Test game it is a bigger risk for many reasons, which for me makes it more impressive. I have already gone through positions 10 through to 6, and there were a couple of surprising players there. But nothing compares to the top 5. Number 1 was a real shock for me. The one rule is that they must have hit 50 or more sixes. This is to rule out someone who just played a couple of games and hit a few maximums. Let's get on with the top 5. Number 5, Adam Gilchrist. Gilly was a fan favorite all around the world. Even us grumpy Poms enjoyed watching him bat, because it was like watching a master at work. He had a naturally attacking game, always looking to take on the bowlers and impose his will on the game. Gilchrist wasn't afraid of trying to clear the ropes either, particularly taking on the short ball with impressive commitment. The Aussie keeper has one of the highest strike rates in the history of Test cricket, and this was helped no end by his six hitting. Over the course of his Test career, Gilly hit a total of exactly 100 sixes off of 6,796 balls. You don't have to be a maths genius to work out that gives him a ball per 6 ratio of 1 every 68 balls. This is good enough to land him at number 5 in the all-time list. Number 4, Cairns. The burly Kiwi has in recent years sadly had extended periods of ill health. Whilst we all wish him all the best for the future, it is always fun to look back on his past, and particularly his boundary clearing. Cairns was a very pure all-rounder with, in my view, his skills almost balanced perfectly 50-50. But where he did stand out was with his power. I remember him hitting 80-odd from 40 balls in a Test match against England at Lord's in 2004, with him smashing it all over the park. During that game he went to number 1 in the all-time sixes list, a record which has since been passed but is nevertheless impressive. Overall in his career he hit 87 sixes off of 5,815 balls, giving him a ball per 6 ratio of 66.8 and number 4 in the all-time list. Number 3, Rishabh Pant. Sadly out of the game with injuries at the moment, Pant is probably my favourite current, non-English player. Purists such as Jeffrey Boycott may disagree with me, but I think the game is much richer for having players like Pant entertaining us all. I even featured Pant very highly in my most entertaining players of all time video, so check that out at your leisure. Who could forget his innings against the South Africans at Cape Town when the pressure was on and he scored 100 not out, from an Indian total of just 198. With his back against the wall he played with a smile on his face and with a free spirit, to the point of once his bat ending up at square leg. He even pretended to run 2 runs by jogging to point and back, after hitting a delivery to a boundary fielder but wanting to keep the strike. He is quite small in stature, but boy can he hit a big ball also. I think he may finish his career with the highest number of sixes in history. So far he has 55 sixes from 3,084 balls, giving him a ball to 6 ratio of 56.1 and number 3 in this list. Number 2, Shahid Afridi. If you had have stopped me in the street before I made this video and asked who I thought had the highest 6 ratio in Test cricket, I would have bet my life savings on it being Afridi. I would have had good reason to feel confident as well due to his staggering ability to clear the ropes. If you think that Pant plays with no inhibitions, Afridi looked like he was there solely to entertain. He would charge fast bowlers, throw his hands at anything wide of off stump, and try to put the bowler in the stands if they dropped short. This all resulted in Boom Boom having the highest Test match strike rate of any player to have scored more than 2,000 Test runs. He had a Test strike rate of nearly 90, there are greats of the game who didn't come close to that in one-day cricket. To give an example, Jacques Kallis had a one-day strike rate of 72. Afridi didn't score that quickly by nicking singles either, he was a pure fence clearer. In fact he hit 52 sixes off of just 1,793 balls. This gives him an incredible ratio of 1 6 every 34 balls. But amazingly that is only good enough for number 2 in this list. So who do you think is at number 1? There was one comment with the correct name in the previous video from Abi Malik. Now Mr. Malik, I am trusting you to have not cheated here, but well done if you didn't. The Test cricketer with the highest 6 per ball ratio is none other than number 1, Tim Southee. Yes, that's right, it is none other than the current Kiwi bowler. Amazing. I do remember him hitting a lot of sixes against England in the past, even just earlier this year. but I didn't think he had quite as impressive record as he does. Southee has hit 83 sixes off of just 2,376 balls, giving him a ratio of a 6 every 28.6 balls. That is crazy when you come to think of it. He did get off to an incredible 6-hitting start. In his first test match he scored 77 not out off of just 40 balls, with 9 sixes in 2008. He has carried that on, teeing off on regular occasions when he comes in lower down the order. Depending on how long he plays for, he could even come close to McCullum's record for the Kiwis. That is the top 10 wrapped up, and I hope you enjoyed it. There were a couple of names which popped up in the comments who I too was surprised to not feature higher. Gayle has a ball per 6 ratio of 122 and Virender Sehwag's is 115. It is worth noting that they only started recording the number of balls faced from around the early 80s, so someone like Viv Richards for example I couldn't get a ratio. He hit 84 sixes from 182 innings, so he would have had a good ratio, but I don't think he would have made the top 5. For those wondering, Botha must have just snuck inside when they started recording balls faced. He ended up with a ball per 6 ratio of 128, which is good but would not have troubled the top 10. I do think that boundaries have come in a little, and also the invention of T20 cricket has made 6 hitting more prominent, but I digress. I have got to acknowledge a correction as well, in that I missed a couple of players out who would have found themselves on in the 10-6 video. Just for context, I do the research for these videos when I am sitting on a bumpy train going to work in the morning, and there is no pre-prepared list for these 6 ratios. I had to trawl through individual players and do the maths for each of them. Well, with my notepad and ruler I missed a couple who should have made the top 10, so I am sorry for that. Those players are none other than Freddie Flintoff and Ravindra Jadeja. I should have known Freddie, and I think I have just excluded myself from ever being able to join the Barmy Army. He was after all a fantastic striker of the ball with immense power. I even saw him hit 3 sixes into the river in a county game at home in Essex. In his test career Freddie hit 82 sixes from 6,197 balls. This gives him a ball per 6 ratio of a very impressive 75.5. In terms of Jadeja, honestly I didn't realize he was as big of a 6-hitter in tests as he is. I know he can hit a long ball in the T20 game and has done so in the IPL and for India, but in tests he has cleared the rope 58 times. This has been off of 4,763 balls, giving him a 6 ratio of 82.1, very impressive. For me, Jadeja is one of those players who can just flick a switch and go into attacking mode. When he does, he's looking for 6s, not just 4s. So that wraps up what turned into a top 12 list and reminds me I need a new pair of glasses. A special thank you also to commenter Nero B, who brought my attention to the oversight without giving the game away in the comments of the first video. Nero mentioned that I had missed 2 players out from the top 10, so it was very attentive of him. Thanks mate. Thanks to you all so much for watching and participating.